Alrighty, folks, there is a significant talk track out there that says Gen Z is a very bad word. But I thought what we do is have a conversation with Cody Davis, who is Gen Z, and see if he agrees with it, see what his friends think. Again, Gen Z can't buy houses. They can't do this. They can't do that. And thus, they should just keep YOLOing life and not really save or build anything for the future. So, Cody, I got to ask, do you think Gen Z is or not?
I think as a whole, a lot of people think they are. Yeah. But we're in the information age. Everybody has access to more information than ever before. And because everybody in my generation is saying it's too difficult to get ahead, the ones that actually try have very little competition.
Yeah.
It comes down to an effort piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, I think it's an easy talk track. The title of the video will certainly be negative, but I actually think Gen Z has a chance to be an amazing generation. Right? I think there's so many things going for Gen Z. For example, for the first time since the baby boomers, we have a generation that is frankly in greater numbers not going to college and going into the trades. I happen to be Gen X, and we were sold a bill of goods. Go to school, get a good education. If you don't go to college, you're a loser. Then the millennials, they got on that as well. And unfortunately for millennials they're in a bad spot. They not only got sold the dream that I was sold, but their cost of education was 2-3x higher, right? I have a master's degree in MBA. I went to junior college for 2 years, Santa Clara for 2, and then got my MBA for 2. My entire college debt was like 60 grand. If you're a millennial, there's a very good chance that your college debt was a couple of $100 grand. So they're screwed. So again, I think Gen Z is going, you know what? Not for me. Again, if you want to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant, you got to go to school. But I think there's a lot more Gen Zs going to the trades than ever before, or at least since the baby boomers. And I think that's amazing. I think we need to celebrate that. I think the path to being a millionaire for a lot of Gen Z is owning a trades company, right? You could be a millionaire by the time you're 30, and I think that's awesome.
It is, and it's very possible, but you have to have the target, number one, and then you have to not write it off as being impossible, because a lot of people that I see, a lot of my friends from high school, they're doing what they've been doing because they don't think they can do anything else. They don't think it's possible to get ahead, so they write it off. Even if they have goals or not, if you write it off as being possible or impossible, you're not going to really strive with a lot of effort. But if you put in a little bit of effort, it can really separate you from the rest of the people. And granted, there's not always going to be equal opportunities, but as long as you're shooting at least in the direction you want to go on a consistent basis, you're going to get a heck of a lot closer. And when the opportunities pop up for the younger generations, as long as you're looking, you're not going to have a whole lot of people to the left and right of you competing with you.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's become remarkably common for me to understand today is it has never, and I mean this like bold, underlined, italics, never been easier to be in the top 10% of something. So many people are unmotivated. So many people are not goal oriented. So many people try something once and never try a second time because they're not naturally gifted. If you want to be in the top 10% of something, it has never been easier. Say hi to your puppy for me.
Oh, yeah, he's saying hi to us.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Never been easier.
I can only go off the experiences I've had, so I don't get to leech off of your experiences on the personal level. But what I know to be true is that if I ever want something, there's a lot of people that have it that are in different generations, and I just have to go talk with those people.
Yeah.
It's not hard to get the information, and not all the information's online, which is amazing to me. That like there's some stuff out here that I don't see consistently online.
Yeah.
But a lot of people in every market that are doing it and living it on a daily basis. You just have to be comfortable enough to know what you want, who has it, and then go try and chat with those people, not give up if they shut you down. because there's a lot of people willing to give the information. There's not a lot of people willing to ask it, especially in my age demographic. A lot of people just kind of stick to themselves, their friend groups. They don't get out of those friend groups, and they just stick to what they've been told, which is this: try and save money if you can and invest for the long term and get a house. And people are still getting fed that at my age.
Yeah.
In school. It's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty sad. All right. The other thing, I think you brought it up out of the gate, which I think is really interesting, right? When I grew up, we didn't have the internet. We started to have desktop computers when I was a teenager, but the access to information has never been easier. And frankly, it's only going to get easier from here, right? One of the things I think is going to be true, if not true already, is we're going to have more $1 million companies with, one or two employees, right? This knowledge economy, the ability to use AI. All right. There's going to be so many folks, and Gen Z is perfectly positioned to take advantage of this, right? You grew up with technology. It's not foreign. It's like you had a phone in utero. And I just think people need to look at the possibilities. I think there is so much, doom out there that sometimes you just got to get out of your own way. If you believe it's possible, it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible, you're right then too. So I don't know what it is about the world, but I don't see enough belief. Because again, it's so amazing what could be done today.
That brings up a core memory from 5 years ago when I first got into the business. My mentor at the time, who owned the brokerage I was working at, he always told me for the course of our relationship, he's like, Cody, I always seem to be doing things the hard way. And he says he's cursed, and he has been for his whole life. He just does it the hard way, and he always does it. He borrows more expensive money, doesn't do it conventionally. And that was limiting belief on himself. But for people in my age demographic that have all these tools and they've grown up with them, should absolutely use it. I'm seeing more and more people say, well, I just like to do it this way or that way. I'm like, that's great. But I was able to write a business proposal in 30 seconds with my ideas in ChatGPT. And then I spent 10 minutes tailoring it to how I actually would like to present. Because the way we read things and present things are different.
Sure.
So within 10 minutes and 30 seconds, rounding up or down, I was able to put together a really well thought out, put together presentation, which before might have taken hours.
Oh, if not days. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're really thinking about it, because I put together the presentation, I was like, wait, I need to show how I'm shielding the downside. ChatGPT, please show me the downsides. And based on all my chat history and ideas, how do I avoid that with my strategy? And it lays it all out, and it goes off of your historical data entry into the app. It's so much easier. And while you could do it the old way, this is so much simpler, and it'll save you so much time. Yeah. And that gives us a huge advantage. It's not just the age demographic of Gen Z or millennial, or it's whoever is willing to use it and understand that it is a tool to help you go faster. Yeah,
faster, better. Faster, better, cheaper. That's where we are sometimes.
Yeah, and it's changed my business. It taught me a way to structure a deal that I had never heard on the internet before. And we can talk about that a different week, but it literally showed me how to get ownership of a deal without taking on a loan or without giving anybody any money and not owing them a dime. And I was like, I have no money. I don't want to borrow money. I don't want to sell any of my assets. How could I buy this, get ownership, and not owe a dime? And it showed me, and it gave me an actual agreement within less than a minute.
Yeah, that's amazing. We will definitely get into that in the next episode next week. The next thing I just want to ask you, I don't know if this is true. I suppose every generation thinks this about the next generation. I'm sure baby boomers thought about me. I'm sure I thought about millennials, on down the line. But when you think about your cohort of friends, right, Gen Z, at least with your experience in that community, do you think most of them lean negative or lean positive? Like sometimes it all boils down to how you see the world. Do you see the world as negative or positive? Any thoughts on that?
from a lot of the people that I've seen, and this is not inclusive of all of them, but a lot of the people that I saw growing up kind of gave up on the finance side. You got a bit overweight, gave up the fitness, gave up the finance, and some of them are really working towards their goals, striving and hitting them. And there are definitely people doing that.
Sure.
But as a general whole, I'd say it's kind of negative.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't enough preparation on the real world side, and people are just either getting it from their parents, or if their parents passed, they're just figuring it out as they go and sacrificing some of the other stuff because they weren't told. And I've got a lot of friends that did lose family members growing up, so they didn't really have that role, and then school didn't give it to them. So they're just trying their best to coast along and see what life hands them. And unfortunately, that doesn't work, as everyone's seeing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think about Gen Z, again, I think there's a lot of talk track about the generation is screwed. But I really do. I mean, if you guys could step back and realize that you're in a very good position, access to information, capabilities, you don't have the student debt hangover like millennials or Gen X. And, you know, the other thing that we haven't even talked about Gen Z is you all are about to inherit a shit ton of money, right? Baby boomers, Gen X, when we die off, you guys are going to get this just windfall of wealth. Now, of course, that will be very unevenly distributed, but it's just how life works. And that is coming down the pipeline as well.
Yeah. My one buddy of mine got a 5-figure payout, which is a lot of money when you're just getting started in life.
Sure.
Because of something like that, it got passed on. That definitely helps out. And as time goes on, that'll be super helpful for some people that feel stuck. They just got to realize it is possible, and a little helping hand can really boost them up. But one other note I'd mention, an advantage we have is time's the most valuable asset you have. And the fact that we have all these tools. So what? A house costs $500,000 versus $300,000 8 or 10 years ago. You couldn't buy it 8 or 10 years ago, but what you can do now is learn about it a lot more efficiently than the people who started 8 to 10 years ago did. I mean, it's just the tools that are out there are unmatched. It's incredible, honestly, looking at everything that we have access to, even just simple stuff like Excel.
Yeah.
Spend a few days, learn how that works, and learn why things work the way they do. I mean, there's so many tools out there that can speed up the timeline. And even though you're paying a higher dollar figure, the price is rarely the most important thing in building wealth.
No, if you're going to hold it for the long term, it's about time value, money, all of that. At the end of the day, Cody, we are so lucky to have you on this channel as somebody who's in Gen Z, as somebody who lives, out loud, showing us all what is possible. Came a millionaire and then a multimillionaire in a very, very short path. Where can people follow you and reach out?
Cody Davis Business Adventures on YouTube.
Awesome, buddy. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks.